Hi, everybody. It's Robbie from Southern California, and I cannot believe that this is the last garden tour of 2021. Let's zip through because, as you know, I'm not doing a whole lot. I'm actually just maintaining what's still growing. And as I come through here after the new year, as we get closer to spring, I'll start to compost the ones that are not doing well, but I'll continue to harvest right now on what is still growing. I mean, there's a tomato plant that just took off. There's still some squash growing. Not sure if they'll make it, but we'll just get more squash. Look at that. I just saw there's a squash under there. Look at that. So I've got a big zucchini there. They kind of surprise me. They kind of look like they're going to die out, and then all of a sudden they get all this new growth and they start again. So it's kind of like a hit and miss because we've been getting, warm and then cold and now rainy. So it's, we're going in the winter. We've even got some cucumbers on here. I know I saw them the other day, little cucumbers. So we'll have to see if they make it. Look at this. Wrong time of the year for cucumbers, but I've been finding little cucumbers. So that would be fantastic to get some of that. So let's kind of walk through and talk about the end of the year. Isn't it exciting? Got peppers. There's still some eggplant. That went yellow, so I don't know if I'll eat that. More peppers. Those are the black cobras. And of course, the Malabar spinach just keeps on going and going. Like I said, I plan on going through here before spring. As soon as the weather seems to stabilize a little bit, even before that, I'll go through and decide what tomato plants I want to keep. I mean, this one already is over a year old. This will be its second or third year already. I'll see how it looks, and if I think it's going to make it, I'll leave it. I'll do that with a lot of stuff. Now, the green sorrel, I just leave that. Kind of freshen up the tote and let it keep going. Malabar spinach, well, that really should die back as soon as the weather gets cold and stays cold. Walking onions are going to continue to grow, and so is lettuce planted in the right place. Look at the size of this. This has been fantastic, and they're growing in with leeks. Again, there's another Goliath tomato. Went all the year before and last year. Got some more lettuce. So all in all, I'm quite pleased. So put it this way. There is no reason for me to knock myself out trying the garden in the winter when there's plenty of food and greens and tomatoes and lettuce and parsley and celery and garlic chives and basil. I still have basil growing. So I have a lot of stuff that's still growing. So I'm not going to go crazy trying to plant anything now because it would grow so slow. And well, you know what? It's nice to take a break. Enjoy the holiday season, enjoy my Christmas movies, and enjoy working with you guys on different things, maybe some fun projects during this time. Then come January, February, when the weather looks like it's going to start to warm up. You know what? Let's go in the front yard. And when I can see the birds coming and starting to sing and starting to set up nests and different things, then I'll get more into solar fountains and what I'm going to plant and do all that. Front yard is doing exactly what I want it to do. Continue to grow. I have tomatoes. I have greens. I have collard. I even have a geranium I want to get out of there. This died back, and this is fabulous. This is going to be my soil for some of the pots I want to set up. I'm going to go through here. I'm going to rob the soil, take it out, put it in flower pots in different containers, and start fresh. Might do it with the second one, and I'll decide. Now, the finger lime has been doing fantastic. We've been picking them and eating them. Those are so cool. They're spiky, so you got to be careful. See how it's trying to bite me? We just cut those in half and squeeze it and suck it out. It is so good. But yeah, the front yard is doing, like I said, what it's supposed to do. Just grow. Let me come out here and forage tomatoes when I need it and let it just maintain itself. I don't have to do anything but hit it with water once in a while. Now, this is the next project, probably coming up fairly soon. This is the ginger, turmeric, and stevia table. Now, as you can see, it is starting to die back, and I am starting to collect some of the leaves and get ready to plant more, separate them. Here's the thing. I could go through here and compost everything right now. But not everything is color-coded or labeled. So I want to be able to know that this is all ginger back there, and this is turmeric. So if I leave the leaves, I'll be able to spot them back there. See the stringy little brown leaves? I know that that container is full of ginger. Of course, we all know the stevia, but that's going to stay there. And then the big leaves, that's turmeric. Now this turmeric, which is the black turmeric, that one's color-coded. So I've got a blue one there, I've got another blue in there, and this one's labeled. I only have 3, so that is going to be easy to spot. But when you start going to the other ones, well, I want to be able to leave the leaves right now, and then when I pull them, I don't have to dig into it and see what it is. I'll know it when I pull them, or let's just say I want to make some ginger cookies. I'll be able to come out here, spot these brown leaves, stringy brown leaves, and say, I know what that is. There's ginger in there, and I can just go in there and dig some ginger out. So I'm not going to pull everything yet. Look at that. Up against the house because the stucco is warm. Look how beautiful this ginger plant still is. So if it was warm enough, it would keep going, and that one is warm enough, which is fascinating. But I do want to go through them, replant them. I want to get all this full of ginger and turmeric and probably start another garden somewhere else. Because after all, there's so much here and I'd like to keep it going. So that's what's going to go on here. I'm still in shock that we're at the end of the year already. What a year it has been for all of us. Hopefully, 2022 is going to be a fabulous new year for everybody, and that's what I'm hoping. Isn't it gorgeous out there? This is a tree collard, took off. Well, it's getting compost tea that I'm making. Been trying to go through here and think about what I'm going to do later, you know, as far as composting and what's going in here. The ubes have already died back. I don't know what's in there. I haven't tried to dig any out. I think there's one more squash. I don't like handling squash or zucchini without gloves, but I do believe, oh, that one kind of got messed up, so that's going to be composted. I didn't take that off. So here I will throw a lot of leaves and matter, so come spring, I'm going to get more squash going. And then all through there, I've got broccoli back there. I've got, of course, the dragon fruit. That won't die out. It's just not going to do anything right now. And here, this, of course, is the bird garden that I'm going to kind of redo. That's the whole idea in here. I want to make sure I'm growing food, but I want to make sure that there's a lot of flowers in here for the birds. And keep it kind of like a very forest-like setting. That is my hopes. Here's another tree collard. These are cuttings that I've added in. Isn't it amazing? I mean, look how green this is. It is so green. The only thing not green are the fig trees. Oh, I can hear the hummingbirds. Got lemon verbena back there. Oh, let's walk over here. These totes are doing really, really good. The mushroom plants are doing okay. But a lot of the plants themselves, some of them will die back. This has been amazing. I don't know how many months old they are, but look at this. They're finally finished. I have left them just the way they are so the goldfinches can sit on here and pick on them. Here's another cutting of a regular tree collard. There's purple tree collard. Isn't this beautiful? There's all the dragon fruit plants. That is just amazing how many we had. I don't know how many dozens and dozens of dragon fruit we had, but I think Gary just picked the last the other day. Then I've got mint down here. There's my roses that I propagated. You saw me. I did cuttings and I put them in totes. They're back there, and there's another one there. I'm going to replant all that. This is my thornless rose that I bought at the dollar store. A lot of this mint will probably die back. This is all spearmint, and this will die back, and I will just trim it all the way back and then see how I want to set this up. This is all going to need, you know, a new setup in my eyes, I think. Clean it up a little bit and make it look really nice so I can come out here and sit out here and enjoy it. This plant has been amazing. Isn't that gorgeous? It's a hybrid of a brassica. I've talked about it, and it is just so big and beautiful. I'm starting to do cuttings on that, and I want to do a whole lot more. We did do some projects. And so Gary's finishing up some of the projects so I can get my planters back. They're kind of thrown all over, as you can see, and we took them apart. These are those upside down planters. I'm not crazy about them, but they're here. I've got them, so I'm going to use them. So things here are still a mess in here. We're working on it. And then that's basically it. These are all purple tree color cuttings. This is off my original one that was here that was about 15 feet tall. That one's long gone. Well, this is a cutting from it, and then so is that one. That is the hybrid. That's a cutting of a hybrid, purple tree colored. Let's keep walking through here because there's not much. Like I said, look at that. It's just, it's maintaining itself. So as far as coming out here, stir fry, just having greens, making a green drink, which is so important for our health, that's what I have all winter long, which is wonderful. So we have plenty of food like that. Walking onions. Now the short moringa is doing fine. There's 2 moringa trees. The big one is dying back. There is still some leaves on it, but look how full the small ones are. Look how many leaves there are. I mean, they're doing really good. I can't complain. And yes, the papayas growing in a small tote are still growing, and they do need a little grooming. And yet they're still flowering. I think you can see on the top, there are flowers still growing. We haven't even picked that many. Look at that. Start to get tired of them. We've given the neighbors. I think everybody's tired of them. You know what? That's what it was meant to do. It was meant to fall and feed the mother plant. So right now, you groom it and you drop it either into this tote, which is long busted. I mean, come on. That's a lot of trees in one tote. But then we also put it in there, and so this leaches into the ground, and it feeds this plant, these plants, because the roots are already into the soil. And then that's basically it. That one is in a container, which was a trash can cut in half. But I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll leave that next year or take it out, and yet it's still trying to grow some green growth. Go figure. Here, this one has taken off, and I'm very, very happy with this because I'm doing a lot of cuttings off of it. It's so deep purple, this curly kale, that I want to get a lot of cuttings. And here I just planted some plain old onions. These are onion seeds that I grew in the house, and I finally got the time to bring it out, had it in my tool. You know how I grow now. It's growing in the tool and got them out there, and I've been planting some of the plants that I had in the house. Like I said, I'm going to kind of wait and let things settle down, get through the new year, and then start to analyze how I want to do things. Still growing tomatoes. Yes, sirree. Aren't they beautiful? And that's one thing I can't believe we're growing so many tomatoes this time of the year. Citrus trees are starting to make a big comeback, so that's been really good. I'll walk through here real quick. A lot of papayas have been skimpy this year because of lack of rain. The only rain we get is a couple storms come through, dump some rain. It's not even that much rain. And then I still have to go through and water everything because we're getting such a small amount of rain. We do get rain. I mean, we have gotten some rain, not a lot, but it's not really a lot to do anything. It stays on the surface. It barely gets in the ground. But that's why a lot of the plants have struggled, yet we still have papayas. Oh, yeah. Just I think the plants don't look as full as they usually do when they get a little bit more. Potato mint has not died back yet. Look at this, still getting strawberries. The potato mint hasn't died back yet. So that's okay. Once it starts to die back, I'm going to dig it up, and there should be a lot of little potato mints under there. They look like potatoes, but it's in the mint family. And then here, of course, I'm just letting everything do its thing. Oh, there's some melons. I don't know if they'll be any good or not. Let me see if I can smell. Oh, it came, you know what? This smells good. I'm taking this home. Put that in my pocket because that does smell sweet. Maybe I better take the other one too and just bring it in. I have nothing to lose. They're too small. Those are Korean melons, but it smells sweet. Now, these need to be trimmed. These are a bunch of broccoli plants. Look, I still have tomatoes. So that has to be trimmed back. If they don't make it, that's fine because in the spring I can start over and that will be really good. Basil, thank goodness, we have a lot of basil. We have a lot of sage. We've got oregano, so I still can make my pizza and we're still growing mustard. This is a 2 system where I can lift this up and compost in this bucket, the yellow bucket, and I put browning leaves or kitchen scraps in the green bucket. Works fantastic, as you can see. The mustard plants really love it. That's the pepinos, which have gone crazy. I have a ton of pepinos. That's one of Gary's favorite plants. Look at that. See how many there's, and there's more. It's loaded. Celery still going. This is an asparagus plant. We'll see what happens in the spring and see if I get asparagus. If I don't, I may have him take it out. Oh, look at this. Purple asparagus. And that's what it's supposed to be. You know what? I'm going to bring this in. And I'm going to show Gary. But that's what I'm hoping that this is going to work. That you can grow asparagus in a tote. So far, so good. Tomatoes, these will all go, and I'll redo that later on in the spring. Yes, there still are tomatoes, but there's too many plants. I have one plant growing on the deck, which is full of tomatoes. There's too many plants here. So I get less tomatoes with more plants. So think about that. And then, of course, this was the red roselle, and it is done. Most of the seeds have fallen. I've collected a few, and we'll get that going. And this is a cutting that I put in here of a beautiful purple tree color. Just growing in here, I can yank it out anytime I want and plant it somewhere else. There's some red vein sorrel. These are pepper plants. It's like a whole mishmash of stuff in here. Let's walk all the way to the end, and then we'll just kind of wrap this up because, like I said, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm going to work on projects, trying to clean up and kind of redo the kitchen so I can get some stuff going to show you and share with you how I use a lot of our garden food and some other fun stuff. And think about the hummingbirds when they come back in the spring, more projects we can do. So I'm trying to do that. And then, of course, we had some plumbing issues and other things like that going on. So we've been trying to get all that taken care of. The truck bed, I was going to gut that and get those containers in. So I guess that's my spring project. But you know what? Squash started growing in there. Look at all the beautiful Swiss chard growing in there. I have green, I have red, I have green and red mixed in there. The apple trees, these were planted by seed. I'm going to thin them down and trim them up and then see what happens. There's some more sage. There's my nectarine that grew here by seed. Had 4 on the nectarine last year. Hopefully we'll get a lot more. My beautiful chair garden. You know it's still growing peppers. Look at this, is all new. Can you see this? This is all new. Peppers growing. I've got lettuce growing. This is celery growing. I did not plant any of this. It's all self-planted. Now this is why the celery is growing. This is celery seed. It's fallen. That plant is going and will be composted. Here is a popolo back here. This is popolo. This one is not ready to pick the seeds, and these are. I'm just going to let it self-seed. And then there's the other popolo. That one lasted for over a year. It grew all winter, but it stayed small. And then when spring started to come in, well, actually a little past spring when it got really warm, the plant took off, so we got a lot of popolo. But we have so many seeds, I better grab some anyways. So that did really good. There is a cutting from a tree collard. That's in there. I've got walking onions growing in there. Tomatoes. I will thin these out and decide which tomato is the best. See, this is too much. So we'll thin that out. Look at this. Is this beautiful? I mean, look at this. I have tomatoes. They're all still growing. They're absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to cater to that. Leave that here. Now, this is a lot of baby walking onions I put in here, and the reason it's not growing good, the celery is sucking everything away from the walking onions. I have a ton of walking onions, so I don't really worry about it, but that's why it's not growing that good. If you want walking onions to grow really good, give them their own flower pot, stick them in there, put 3 or 4 in a flower pot, and then just take care of them, and you'll get them really big and nice. But when you let them grow like that with celery, celery gets a big root, and so they can pull from a lot of plants. This is just sow thistle, and I am definitely leaving this for the goldfinches. They've been really struggling, and I watch them fly around. They even come on the deck all hours. It'll be really early in the morning and really late just before the sun goes down, and they're screaming and looking for food. So I'm leaving as much sow thistle as possible because, see, this is a new one that's going to open. And that will give them some more seeds, that too. So I am leaving it, but it's not really a total loss. Look at, there's walking onions growing in there. There's lettuce growing in there, and there's more celery. I need to keep the celery under control. Oh, these are tomatillos. Purple tomatillos, look at that. I will take that in too. So the purple tomatillos are done, but they're hanging there like a little package, like a little Christmas package, waiting to be picked and brought in. Isn't that cool? And there's more there too. Then here I have more tomatoes. So I'm going to see, like I said, which ones are really good. Now this is seeds from the garlic chives. This is what they look like, and they self-seed themselves all over the place. That's growing in there, and that's basically it with the tomato plant. And I think there's more tomatoes in here, but it's really, it really needs a good cleaning come spring. I grew a lot of watermelon in here, and that one a few years, maybe 2 years ago. So I think I'm going to do that again, go through, decide what I want to do, and clean this up, but in the spring. You know what's amazing? These elbows I made, they're probably going on over 2 years old, and they're still working, and they're still holding strong. I made that so you can bend them. See how I can put the tomato stakes there and bend them? I can direct the plants when they're full and growing really big exactly the way I want them. And like I said, that's the truck bed. We'll get to that later. Look at the tomato plant. All on its own. I bet you that little thing that just came up from seed will just take off in the spring. And I'll put that bucket in here. I will load this up with leaves. Yes, the squash plant came. It just started to take off and grow. There's a lot of grass growing. Oh my gosh, there is zucchini in there. Let's see if I can, I haven't looked. Look at that. It must be warm enough. Maybe I won't pull the grass because that's all insulation probably, and it's covering up the plant and protecting it. So I'll see what happens there. And then, well, that's the ponds. We haven't really done anything. And hopefully we'll start to have more time in the spring. And kind of what I do is I say, hey, I'm going to come over here. And if I'm really busy and working and stuff, I'll just come over and say 15 minutes. I'll time myself. Let's go get something done in 15 minutes. And that's, a really good way of doing things sometimes. Because if I say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to run over there and do this, and then I'm going to go over here and do this, it becomes overwhelming. And what you end up doing is nothing because you're running around trying to get everything done. But if you give yourself a time frame and say, hey, I'm going to work for 15 minutes over there, whether it's pulling weeds, composting weeds, trimming out old plants to compost, just do about 15 minutes. And that's what I'm going to do. Like I said, as far as all these, they're done. Whatever makes it, the few squash we get is going to be perfect. It's going to be a blessing. It's going to be a gift. And we are getting squash here and there, zucchini, and more tomatoes. And then come spring, I'll analyze what I want to grow in here, and then I'll go for it. And remember, sometimes it's better to plant less in a tote or raised bed, even in the ground, not overcrowding it, than planting too much, because sometimes too much you end up with a lot smaller plants. You may not get as much food as you want off of them, but when you have one plant and it has the whole thing to itself and all that wonderful compost you put in there and kitchen scraps and stuff, you'll end up doing better, believe you me. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was quick. You'll hear from me before the New Year's and before the holidays, but if you don't, I want to wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, a wonderful New Year. We're here. Hopefully I'll be able to get some more live things going up and say hello. Like I said, we had like one plumbing thing after another, and it's been just, how it is, like a snowball effect. It seems like sometimes it's like one step forward, 2 steps back, I told Gary, but we've almost got everything done, and that's what's so important. So it's almost done, and we're getting that stuff done and working in the garden, and I really can't wait for spring. I think it's going to be so exciting because I have so many thoughts on how I want to do things. And the longer you do it, the more you figure out what works best for you. And I know, like this year, I grew tons of zucchini. I was very careful. Not a lot of spaghetti squash. We're not into that. Not a lot of different types of things because I like zucchini. So thank goodness I'm still picking zucchini. I still have all the zucchini I want, and I'm telling you, the orchids love it. Peeled, if it's a big zucchini, peel it, de-seed it, put it on a frying pan with a little butter, little salt, and they just saute it and they love it. So do I, and I'm really happy about that. So you start to get older and wiser, and you know what you want to grow. I can't get over the tomatoes. So with that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. You'll hear from me real soon. And don't forget, oh my goodness, to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. That's absolutely amazing. And there's more there. Looky, guess what? You know what this is? This is purple asparagus. This is even better than broccoli. You know what that is? Well, you better go, off she goes.